So I went to an advanced screening of Argylle tonight, and all I got was this lousy shirt. I'm just kidding. This shirt is not lousy. It's actually quite lovely. I like it, and I'm very glad that I was able to get one. Actually, a new movie buddy of mine went and grabbed one for me before the screening of the film. So it was an advanced screening. The first time that I've attended one where they had like a radio guy that was there, and he was interacting with the crowd and doing some trivia stuff, and people that would win would go down and get some things. And also there were some Argylle shirts that they were giving out. So someone that I met that night, he was kind enough to go grab me one when he went to get one for himself. And we talked a bit after the movie, and I was kind of giving my thoughts, and we were sort of bouncing our perception about the film off of each other. So that was nice to be able to meet some new people. I recognized some faces that I'd seen before at other screenings. One of the girls I saw there had been at the press screening that I attended for The Killer. Anyway, okay, whatever. I'm here to talk about the movie. I'll start off by saying the trailer for this film doesn't really tell the whole story, and in a way that's good. Now, they do show you a bit in the trailer, enough to give you kind of an idea as to what's happening. The basic premise of the story is, if you have not seen the trailer, when I first saw the trailer, it reminded me a bit of Romancing the Stone. Like, there was this author that was caught up in this adventure, this real life adventure. It kind of made me think of that. And this is so much more than that, though. Quite a bit more. But what's happening is her books, her spy novels, there are real life things that are happening that her spy novels seem to predict, and so these people are coming after her. And she's all caught up in this action and adventure, and she's very scared, and she doesn't know what the heck to do, and she meets this guy that says he's into espionage, he's like a spy or whatever, and they have this encounter on the train, and she goes off with him because there's people coming after her. Along the way, her little cat, Augie? Was her cat's name? I can't remember. For a while, I thought her cat's name was Argylle, but that wasn't the case. The name Argylle is the name of the character that she created. And so this was directed by Matthew Vaughn. I did not look up to see whether or not he wrote it, but Matthew Vaughn is one of those directors that I do like a lot of his movies for the most part. I just don't always remember when I see his name. Oh, what did he do? Okay, so he's done the Kingsman movies. I really, really liked the last Kingsman that came out. In fact, I liked it more than the first one. I have not seen the second one yet. He also did Kick-Ass, and he did Stardust, and he did, oh my goodness gracious. There were several others that I was thinking of that I knew about. I haven't seen Layer Cake. I've seen most of his movies. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that he is a competent action director, and there's quite a bit of action in this film. There's also quite a bit of comedy. This is described as a spy action comedy or something like that. For the first half of the film, let's say, the movie's more than 2 hours long. I think it clocks in at 2 hours and 19 minutes, but obviously there's credits. By the way, stay for a mid-credits Easter egg scene. That happens, and the only reason I caught it was because, and I had done a search to see if there was a post-credit scene, hadn't found any information about it, but the new friend that I met at the movie theater, we were talking, and because we were talking, we happened to see this little Easter egg post-credit scene. I'm not quite sure how that's really going to tie in with anything for the future when it comes to Matthew Vaughn's movies. I guess we'll see. Honestly, I don't know if anything's been confirmed about this, so just stick around and make sure you watch that. So for the first, let's say, hour of the film, it feels, I can't really say formulaic because there are some things about it, the way it's shot, that's very interesting. And I really don't want to give away a lot. I'll just tell you that Henry Cavill is in here a bit more than you would expect. I'm going to try to keep what I say pretty vague because I would like you to experience the things that are revealed for yourself, but he's in it a bit more than I expect. However, having said that, the first hour or so of the film feels kind of like, okay, it's okay, it's good, it's decent. And then something happens, and there's like this interesting interesting twist that's thrown into the mix. And I was thinking to myself, when the point occurred, I was like, oh, okay, all right, where's it gonna go now? Then some more stuff goes along, and then there's another reveal. I did not see that coming. I think because I went into the film with a preconceived expectation about a certain thing. I'm not gonna say that this second twist or reveal was anything that was bad, because I don't think it was. I didn't mind it, and I was pleasantly surprised that it took me by surprise. Now, I did have a chat with one of the security guys that was there, because they had people there watching you to make sure you weren't using your phone. I actually was taking notes on my phone. I try to be very, very covert when I take notes. Okay, this is a little diversion, but I got a pen with a light on it so that I could take notes and it not be my phone screen, right? The problem with the pen is you don't want to leave the light on all the time, but when you turn it off, when you click the pen off, it's very loud. And then you have to click it at least twice to get the light to come back on. To me, that is far more intrusive and annoying than using a phone hidden under your coat to take notes. So I try to be very respectful, and I'm not like flashing the phone like this. Anyway, whatever. The point I was making is I was talking with the security guy that was watching everybody with like some sort of vision, something sort of scanner. I don't know, whatever. I could see him watching us. Anyway, I was talking with him a little bit about it, and he's British, and I was telling him some thoughts I had about it, and he was like, yeah, well, we're British and we kind of like such and such. And he told me during the course of that conversation that he had predicted, he saw where it was going. And so when this second twisty thing happened, it didn't surprise him. It surprised me. And I'm generally somebody that tries to predict and can very often accurately predict things, but I didn't with this. I thought it was a cool little twist. I went with it, and there were some other twisty things that there were multiple twists. Actually, there were twists that happened even before this big reveal thing I was telling you about. There were like at least 2 twists that went on. You're gonna hear that word a lot. And so I was fine with all that, because these things helped explain certain events that happened, and you're thinking to yourself, what now, what how in the world? And then things are revealed and you find out why all this stuff is happening, and it's like, okay, it makes sense. I get it. I'm on board with this. And then as the last act, or not the last act, but like let's say the last third of the movie goes on, some of the sequences, some of the action that happens, this is where the film gets a little wobbly for me. I'm going to give the disclaimer that I don't hate this film. I'm not giving it a negative review, but there were some action sequences that happened that went a bit over the edge of too goofy and too slapsticky for me. Most of the audience liked it. There was a lot of laughter that was happening. I even laughed during some of the moments just because in the moment, but I'm watching it, I'm like, this is a bit much. And I was thinking to myself, this film doesn't know if it wants to take itself seriously or be a goofy comedy or both. And I guess it's like a little bit, the Kingsman had humor, right? But the tone of the Kingsman movies was serious. There was no over-the-top goofy stuff that was going on, as opposed to some of the stuff that happened in here. You will know these sequences when you see them. There were 2, specifically 2 that stood out to me the most. Is like, I'm not really on board with this. This is actually quite silly. To me, it was. You guys may like it. Whatever. Like I said, it was not enough to make me not enjoy this movie, because for the most part, it was quite fun. There were some moments where you could tell there were some visual effects going on. Like there's a scene with someone on a motorcycle and they're taking these very twisty turns. You see the motorcycle from far away, but it's very obvious that that's a visual effect that's happening. That happened early in the movie. It wasn't enough to lose me or anything like that, but it was certainly something that I noticed. I kind of wish they had done a little bit of a better job on that. There was also something that happened at one point, and I wrote this down when it occurred because, and I'm trying to be vague, there is a person who comes in and attacks 2 characters. One of the characters gets shot. The other character just gets knocked out. And then this character that did these things left the scene. I was a little bit aggravated because this character never just was really knocking anybody out. They were pretty much always killing, not knocking out. However, the plot couldn't have continued if this person had just killed this person that they knocked out. So I get that it couldn't happen, but that was, for me, a weak point in the writing that stood out to me very clearly because it didn't make sense. It wasn't in line with the character and what the character had been doing beforehand. I think you'll know it when you see it, but I feel like if they were going to have this particular character not be killed and survive for later, then this showdown that happened, this event that happened, needed to be written differently. Totally differently. So that was definitely one of the things that stood out to me as the first sort of con. The other things were those goofy moments that I was telling you about, but none of those things were enough to make me dislike this film. It did bring my ultimate rating down a notch. I rated it a 3.25, which is 6.5 out of 10. So my feelings about this film are a little mixed. I went into it not quite knowing the level of comedic tone it was going to have. That part does become clear a bit early on with some of the sequences that happen and what the character is seeing and observing. It's pretty funny. To me, it wasn't goofy funny. To me, it made complete sense given what was happening in the story and with the character. The goofy stuff came later. Anyway, it was enjoyable. I don't think it's Matthew Vaughn's best, but I still think it was a fun watch, and I certainly don't regret the experience. I was very glad to be able to get into the screening. I had actually purchased a ticket for myself for Thursday in case I didn't make it into the screener, but I showed up about 2 hours before showtime and there were already a couple people there, but the theater was pretty much packed. They were having to turn away people. So this generally happens when, it's a screener. People get excited. They want to see a free movie and they want to see it ahead of time. So it was a lively crowd. The crowd seemed to enjoy it, and these were my thoughts on it. I didn't hate it. I wasn't as in love with it as some of his other films, but it was fun to watch Cavill. I mean, two of the primary draws for me were Cavill, obviously, and just the story looked like fun. And it was fun, but it had some shaky moments. There were also some things that Bryce Dallas Howard's character got involved in that were a bit of a tough sell for me, and I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to give away the essence of the movie, because I will say again, this trailer does a decent job at keeping the bigger twists and turns completely hidden from you. I think that's all I have to say about this. Argylle is coming out on Thursday, February 1st. Its official release date is February 2nd, Friday, but Thursday previews are February 1st, where it will come out nationwide. If you get a chance to check it out, or if you've already seen it at an advanced screener, because other people have, let me know what you think about it, especially the stuff I was talking about that made it get a little wobbly for me. It's probably something I wouldn't mind adding to my collection and watching again. It was enjoyable for what it was. Okay, that's all I have to say. I am definitely wrapping this up. I think I already said I was wrapping this up, but now I am really wrapping this up. See you guys later. Nos vemos.